Welcome back to Throwback Thunder Thursday. Today, let's jettison some weight, hit the tracks, and take off. I present 1985 Generation 1 Astrotrain. Now, this figure is one of two Decepticon triple changers released in 1985. His alt modes consist of a JNR class D-51 steam locomotive and a space shuttle orbiter. Now, articulations, this guy was ahead of his time because in his shoulders there were ball joints. As you can see, he has ball joints and, ahead of its time. Now, little fun fact, this was one of the earliest figures to feature ball joints a decade prior to them becoming a standard to design. And, well, that's really, honestly, all of the articulation that he has. He can do this. He can hold his gun. Now, I have seen preferences on how he has his bow tie. Some people have it so it's, tucked in and it's put away. I'll do that right now. If it wants to cooperate. He's very, very, very stiff. I'll say. I did have some issues with this arm. This arm likes to get stuck. But, yeah, I've seen people tuck this all the way in, like when he's transformed into his train mode. But I've always liked that little bow tie that he has. So I like to kind of bring it up partial way, usually like right there. It does hinder him, being able to hold his blaster pretty straightforward. But yeah, that's it. He doesn't really have much articulation. But considering it is a Generation 1, we're not expecting anything, wild with articulation. And, well, I do suppose you can articulate the wings. If you really want to, you could flip those back, but that's just for transformation. So, imagination. So, the little bit of this figure history of this one in particular, he doesn't have any of his decals. Now, the only decals that he does have are these ones. And, well, this one is an original Hasbro 1985. And he's got his Takara 85 stamp on there. I got this from a really cool store in Salt Lake called BTNT Toys. And yeah, I was shocked when I originally got this, in my mind I was like, okay, this is just like a reissue. But then a little bit after, it was maybe about a month or so after I'd purchased it, and I was tinkering around with it, because the one I used to have a long time ago, he was kind of not all complete. He had some stuff missing on him, didn't even have his rifle. And I noticed that on the back of those wings, on the underside of him when he was in his shuttle mode. I saw those dates. I'm like, hey, this is like vintage. It is vintage. It's not a reissue. He has a yellow visor, and he has a little red bit on the top of his head. He's got some black paint stripes along his wings, and I'll kind of go into that more when he's in his shuttle mode. And for those who are wondering, his rub sign does work. There we go. He's a Decepticon. Who would have thunk? Think, thunk. He's got some white stripping on the side of his legs, and that's primarily seen in his locomotive mode. He's got molded detail on the front of his legs and right in this region, which I guess would be like his hip, because he's got little stubby thighs. And I did try cleaning that up, and I think it's just years of that going in and out of this bottom part right here, which die-cast metal. They don't make them like they used to. And yeah, so I mean, he's got molded detail in right here. That's normally where his Decepticon insignia would be. On the back, he's got pretty much all the stuff you'd see in his locomotive mode, and he's got his main engines from his shuttle mode on his back. Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, his rifle, let's go into that. So this is his ionic displacer rifle, and well, first of all, it's molded in plastic, which is purple colored. Don't know why I said it like that, but I did. And well, if I may say, it's cleverly done considering the molded details. I mean, it's a nice little sci-fi looking alien rifle. It's pretty cool. I think they did good with the time. No, almost mid-80s, not bad for a rifle. And well, pretty much it's the only weapon that he came with, and pretty much only he can hold it. I want to say Octane and let's see, Octane, Blitzwing, and I think there was another one that was released kind of around that time that took that same size of peg on the blaster. In fact, I believe it was, I want to say it was Blitzwing's weapons. He was shown holding with was the prototype that was in some of the Hasbro catalogs, and I think even in like the Sears catalog, he was shown holding Blitzwing's weapons. But also, I'll go into that later, because that's a whole that's a whole other thing. But yes, that is his robot mode. So we're going to go into his shuttle mode, and with the power of Energon, we will get him lickety-split. Well, actually, you know what? Before that, let's do something I haven't done in a long time. We're going to do some size comparisons, because we all love those, right? So here he is with Generation 2 Sea Spray. Here he is with Generation 1 Galvatron. And as you can see, he's quite significantly larger than our Astro Boy here. Speaking of Astro, here he is. Oh, he doesn't like, his legs don't like to stay up anymore. But here he is with Astro Magnum. AKA Galactic Man. If you haven't seen that review, check that out. It's really cool. I went into a lot of the history behind that figure and its roots to Radio Shack. Here he is with the Micromaster Combiner aerial bots. Superion. And just for the heck of it, here's a Battle Beast. Remember those? Do you remember those? Return to Monkey. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and transform him. Alright, and here he is in his robot mode. Now first, if you're probably thinking like, oh, Beastman, you didn't transform it right. You didn't transform it right. The reason why I left these arms out like this is because for some reason, and again, it's probably like 99.99% because of its age. The arms don't like to come out. I fought with it for a good minute for me to get them to come out prior to doing the setup for the review. So I'm going to leave them out like that. So if you're thinking like, oh, Beastman, you didn't transform it right, man. That's why. Same thing with he's not fully, clipped together in the front. There's plastic stress marks around those tabs in there. And I noticed that when I was going over the figure earlier. And I'm like, okay, well, let's not break it. Let's put it in just enough. I'm pretty sure that you could, get, the idea of what it's supposed to be. I just, I don't want to risk it. I really don't. I would rather this not break. Although I do have a reissue in box still. I'd rather not break anything. This thing's seen wars, guys. This has seen wars. Star Wars. The Phantom Menace. Okay, so let's go on with let's go ahead and continue on with the review. So this is a very interesting mode. The shuttle's based off of a NASA space shuttle, and well, how many times can I say shuttle in this? I'll be saying it quite a bit. So the windows are painted black, and so is the nose of the shuttle. Plastic, of course, it's the same as you saw in the robot mode. There's, for its time, very interesting and unique engineering, but yeah. So, I mean, purple, white strip, black die-cast metal, and these again, these are the only decals that's on this, and it was, as you can see there, they've seen better days, especially that side. You can see right there, it's a little peeling. So there's the black decal on the vertical tail. There's black paint stripes on the wings along the leading edge and the elevons, which is this. I kind of know some stuff about space shuttles and always thought space was cool growing up. So I kind of know some stuff about like the space shuttles that even we still use to this day. Yes. I'm getting distracted. So, yeah. White paint lines going up towards like the crew compartment. And look, it rolls. It's got landing gears. And it's right, these wheels right here. And the ones right here in the back. And look, there's a train underneath. There's a train underneath, yeah. There's a train. Does he train? He probably does train. He probably trains a lot. So yeah, the molding on this thing, For what you see, it's not bad. The main engines on the back are actually, you can see the molded detail on them. They're plastic. Well, they're molded from black plastic, and you can see they just kind of pop in there. I'm not sure how strongly they are tabbed in, but we're not gonna risk it. Let's put it that way. But yeah, and little fun fact: the space shuttles are actually triple paned, and by that, not triple paned, but the windshields on the front. There's actually 11 different sizes, and also the shapes are all different. And its primary reasons is they're designed to withstand like really high extreme atmospheric re-entry temperatures. So yeah, there you go, little fun thing about space shuttles. So yeah, I mean, and then this is, he's looking down at him like, he's more of a boatman. He's more of a boatman. If the boatman's watching this, shout out to you. Miss you, man. I miss you. I miss the boatman. So yeah, we're gonna go into his train mode. We're gonna go ahead and get off the rails on this crazy train. Alright, we're in the train mode. We're on the gravy train. This train's full of gravy. Is it? I don't know. Probably Energon. Or steam. Steam clams. Yes. So, with this being the train being based off of a JNR class D51, it's done surprisingly well. The molded detail. The molded detail again. I mean, you got the molded in driving wheels, the crankshaft, you got the steam dome, you got the smoke box, the chimney, and a very, sci-fi style details along the outside of the firebox. For those who don't know, it's this part. And it rolls decently, as all rolling things should, to quote Emgo. As all rolling things should. They should all roll. Roll out! Oh yeah, and well, the little goofy thing with it is, it oddly, in a fun way, retains the main engines from the space shuttle mode in the back. And again, for those who are, going to say that you transformed it wrong, I'm leaving that arm on this side because it's the one that's harder to get out. I'm not having it all the way in, so realistically, we just need to look at one side of it. It's a very one-sided train review. I mean, except the front. And that I could kind of tab in a little bit better. But, and you can see right there, stress marks. That's no bueno. It's no bueno, but we're being very safe with this. We're being real safe. So yeah, continuing on with it. It has real world details like the ones I've mentioned, but it still works. Not to mention, like, you got like the bogey wheel, the main frame, and even like the little right here. You know what that is? That's the whistle. That's the steam power whistle. And I know some of these things because I had some trains growing up. So I'm between planes and trains, or I guess in this case, space shuttles and trains. I kind of know some of the weird little things about it. It's all those videos, the lots and lots of trains. If you remember those, comment in the just drop it down in the comment section if you remember those tapes that they sold on TV all the time. Lots and lots of trains. So yeah, I kind of learned some stuff from that. Yeah. the alt modes are pretty much just upside down from one another. Now, again, clever engineering for its time, but now a bit of history behind this crazy train Starman. Those are two musical references right there. Comment below if you got those references. Crazy Train and Starman. So, let's go ahead and let's get him transformed again, and then we'll go on through a little bit of his history as an action figure from the 80s. Alright, now he's transformed. And this is what I was trying to do at the beginning, showing how different the chess piece looks, but in his instructions it shows a completely different thing than what it's suggested and what the prototype's chest looks like and what he looks like in the show and throughout all the other fiction. Either way it looks really cool, but I personally like the bow tie. But I digress. Let's get into his history. So, you ready for this? Y'all ready for this? The 1985 Japan release had color schemes based upon the real-life versions of the vehicles he transformed into, with a white space shuttle complete with NASA decals and a black steam locomotive. So, pretty much it was primarily all black when he was in his locomotive mode, and essentially all the purple was white, and they had NASA stuff on it. That's pretty cool, actually. Later on in 1986, Takara released him in his US toy color scheme. It could actually roll in train mode on slightly wider toy train tracks, but wasn't able to do the tracks turning points well. In Hasbro's catalogs, it's depicted his prototype that differs from the final released product. It sported a gray and purple color schemes and served as the basis for his animated appearance. That's why a lot of kids back in the 80s was confused why Astrotrain looked different from the toy compared to how he looked in the cartoon. So there you go. That's a little interesting thing about that. There were other noticeable differences from the prototype to final version included the sculpting and tooling, extending arms on the side. It was kind of like a slide joint, and you can kind of see where that was left over. I'll show you guys. See how this looks like it splits? Well, we'll turn his arm in and see this little bit right there. That would have been where his slide joint for his arm. So that's why his arms look so stubby, because originally they were meant to pull forward. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. He had different feet, and most famously the head sculpt. That was one thing a lot of people were confused about, from what I was told. I mean, years later when I started watching G1 and I got my beat up that Astrotrain. I still have it. It's put away, but it's seen wars. He couldn't properly transform into his shuttle or his train mode because he's missing some things on him. But I was like, oh, okay, maybe it was like just something they changed up. But then I looked into it years later, and I was like, oh, okay, that's why. Pretty interesting little thing there. All was used for the cartoon design. So if you look at the prototype stuff and you look at how he was drawn in the cartoon, I'm assuming with how animation goes, they probably, had to work off of the prototypes for the figures. They did that with a couple of the other Transformers and things were lost in translation. But with doing animation, I have a friend who does animation. It's not a very easy thing. It's not a very quick task. It seems like it could be pretty daunting at times. So, to continue, this mold was used a multitude of times over the years. And these are the years, and these are the versions of Astrotrain. You have the 1991 Classic Series, the 2004 Collection line, 2005 to 2012 the Commemorative Series, 2015 the Platinum Edition, and as of most recent, the 2019 Vintage G1, which is the ones that were a Walmart exclusive. So yeah, there's a little bit of cool history behind this Astrotrain figure. Some people might not be familiar with it. Some people might be like, "Oh, yep, I know that. That's cool." Other people know that. But that's the purpose of me doing these Throwback Thunder episodes, where I like to kind of delve into not just the figure itself, but of its history and a little bit of things about the production of it and the years that they came out and the overall history of the figure. One thing I wanted to kind of bring up prior when I was going over the shuttle modes was actually, and this is pretty cool because again I kind of do know a little bit about it. There was a version, now I don't know if it's like common, but there is one that actually came with the weapons that came with Blitzwing. And I'm not sure why that just kind of skipped over my brain when I was stand. Okay, he's just gonna limp. I don't know why that just popped over my head, and I was talking about his shuttle mode. So, anyways, yeah, and then I got a little bit of extra fun for everyone. I have, and this is cool. This is cool. I got it the same day that I got this, and the guy actually gave me it for free. I have the 1986 Decoy Astrotrain, and you probably recognize it from that goofy little short that I made months back. Yeah, it's a little decoy. Is that Astrotrain? I don't know. You tell me. The thing I like about this is that he's got his bow tie on his chest. So just for the sake of it. And again, see, it's very... It's kind of very stuck. Yeah, so, I mean, boom. Astrotrain and Son. It's Astro Boy. There you go. Astro Boy. Yeah, the fun little thing with these decoys, they came with certain toys from the original line. And from what I've heard, a lot of kids thought these were erasers. So I'm not sure how many of these are still intact over the years. And you got some Japanese right there on the back of the legs. And he's got some numbers. So, you know what? Let's bring out, boom, the Battle Beast. They're roughly the same size. Yeah, so yeah, it's cool seeing these are still around and they're not completely wrecked and beat up and damaged. So yeah, there is the little extra with Astrotrain. I really wanted to show you guys that and actually talk about it. And then I got one little extra fun fact to go with this before the end of the review. So, considering the timing for the changeover to Transformers, it's highly probable that the concept for who would become Astrotrain was an asset carried from the free combination subline of Diaclone that was scrapped. Pun intended. And that was pretty much because Octane had a similar origin. So, not only an Astrotrain fun fact, but a fact about Octane, another triple changer. So, thank you for watching. Had 3 times the fun with this episode. Cause he's a triple changer. So, yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you want to see more of the Beastman's realm, you can follow me on Instagram at the Mighty Beastman, and I have an official Twitter for my YouTube channel, and that's just Beastman Review, capital B and then capital R. Well, most importantly, comment your thoughts on the figure below. I love hearing what you all have to say. I love the discussion. I like the interactions with my viewers. And, like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead. It helps my channel out a lot. Click the bell so you can be notified when I upload. And I try to upload at least once or twice a week, and that's not including shorts. It helps my channel out so much. So, like I always say, keep on rocking in the free world.